In this video, we're going to take a look at some color sampling tools so that we can get some information about the colors in our scene. So you will find these, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 icon down in the tools bar. We have the eyedropper tool, the 3D material eyedropper tool, and the color sampler tool, all with the shortcut letter I to select those. So we'll start with the eyedropper tool, and you will see this tool pop up in other places. It's not just when we select it here, but when we are picking a color, say from the color picker, we can choose a color here, but if we go off the screen and we move around, we will see this icon pop up, and when we select, it selects the color in our scene. So here when I select the orange, you see it change over here. When I select the green, you see it change. When I select the blue, it changes. So this is a great tool to have, and it's really wonderful when you're doing any type of work and you need to know the colors that you're working with. I mean, this is great for branding, it's great for photography design, for beauty retouching, it's great for web design, graphic design. You can find many uses for this tool. And what's cool about it is that once we select a color, it shows us all of the appropriate values that you would find. So for instance, we have the hue, saturation, and brightness values. We have the red, green, and blue values. We have the lab values. We have the CMYK values. And we have the hex number. This is used in web design where we don't talk about these numbers to give a color to say some text in HTML. We use a hex code, and this is right here, easy for us to grab. And you can do all kinds of stuff. I've used this not even for applications in graphic design. Sometimes I do lighting design for conferences and events, and they might have a logo, and I want to match the color exactly to their logo. You know, the specific blue that they're using, I want to know what that color is, and I can come into Photoshop and click on their logo, and then I can get some information about it. And if I have some LED lights that are RGB, I can punch in these numbers and it's going to be very close. So a lot of cool things you can do with this tool. Also, while we're in this tool, you can add these colors to your swatches. So they will add them over to our swatches panel here so that we can use them later on. And we'll talk about color more in this course. But for right now, we're just looking at this color picker tool. And as I move around, you can see that we see some information moving in the info panel on the right hand side, also showing that information. So when we're using this tool, it does the same thing as when we're looking at the color picker tool from the swatches. So this is really great. We can pick our color, and when we hold it down, you will see that there are two half circles. So let me pick two different colors here. I'll pick the green. You can see it changes our foreground color to green over here and over on this panel. And then when I hold down and pick the red or the magenta colors, you can see that green is there. And this allows you to compare colors. So you compare your current selected color with the color you're about to pick. So if I had this light green, but then I wanted a darker green, I can move around and find a darker green. And let's say I want that one, and I can let go. Now we have the darker green selected. And then say when I click again, we have that dark green, but maybe I need to go light. So we'll find that lighter green and let go, and now we have it selected. Or I can look at the green and look at the blue together, or look at the green and the orange or red or what have you. So it shows you both colors. Something else that you can do is you can right-click, and these are the different ways that we can sample the colors based on their averages. I usually use it to a point sample, but if you want to do a higher average, so this is going to average the colors within a 31 by 31 pixel range, we can do that too. So if we're saying, you know, we have a lot of, in this red color, we have a lot of dark reds and brighter reds. And if we leave it on point sample, it's actually picking the individual pixels. If I zoom in real close here, you can see this image is made up of all these individual pixels. And so if I pick that dark red, right next to that might be light pink or white pink. And so we can do it on a per pixel basis, or we can right click and we can do it on an average. So we can say over 100 pixels this way and 100 pixels this way, give me the average of the color that we're working with. That way it doesn't have to be exact. I just know that this red color pretty much averages to this color here, and this magenta averages to that color. So that's a great way to work with this. And then something else you can do is you can copy the colors HTML and copy them as hex codes. What's going to happen is it's going to save this in your notepad, and so you can copy and paste this to your HTML or Word document or whatever you're working on. So here we have copy colors HTML. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then what happens is it's saved it to my notepad. So now what I need to do is I need to paste this. We can do this real quick. We're just going to open up a note here and click on a note tool, and you see the note properties open up here. Just imagine this was my HTML editor or Word document. I can go ahead and right click and paste that information, and there's the HTML code. Color equals, and then there's that hex number that I was talking about earlier in the color picker. The specific color I have chosen is D7483A. And so we have that information. The same thing happens whenever we right click. Oh, sorry, let's go ahead and pick the eyedropper tool here again. When we right click and we do copy colors hex code, it's going to copy just the hex code without the HTML. So when I paste that in there, you'll see that that color is EA6E70. So another great way for us to use Photoshop to get the hex codes and the HTML codes. The next tool down is the 3D Material Eyedropper tool. Now, I have a big cancel or no sign going on here because we're not working in a 3D environment. Now in this course, I'm not going to go real deep into Photoshop's 3D capabilities because it adds a whole new structure of the program, and I suggest you check them out. In the future, I plan on having a 3D course, so look out for that. Right now, I'm not really going to focus on 3D that much because I want to show you some things that more of you out there who are doing photography and graphic design would be interested in, but not to say that I won't have a 3D course in the future. But basically, the 3D Material Eyedropper tool is going to allow you to do the same thing, select a material on a 3D subject. So if we brought a 3D modeled airplane in here and it was textured to look like it had a metallic a metallic surface, we could select that actual 3D material and then use it in our 3D scene inside of Photoshop. Again, we're not going to get too far into that. Let me clear this note out real quick so it's not there. Okay, and then the last one down is the Color Sampler tool. This works much like the Eyedropper tool. The difference is that with the eyedropper tool, we actually see the color that we're picking, and it's allowing us to easily visually see that color. The difference with this tool is that this tool allows us to create points of different colors and then save that information over in the info panel so that we can look at it and verify it. So say that I selected this green color here. You see it drops a little 1 right there in that green color, and it added that number 1 over on the info panel. So we see number 1 R92, G205, B53. So it tells me what that color is right there where that 1 is. Now if I select another green, it drops a 2 and puts that over in the info panel, 70, 179, 28. And I can do that around this whole document and continue creating these colors. So I can grab 3 or 4 different greens in this image and then compare them or have their numbers maybe for branding purposes or web design or graphic design. And then the same thing goes with other colors in this document. So I can select a blue and an orange and a red and a magenta and a yellow and a purple. And then I have all those colors over here saved out ready to go for me that I can write those down or use those in my projects. So it's just an easier way for you to look at information and get color information. But that is basically how those eyedropper tools work. You can use a shortcut letter I to select them, and you'll find that they're very beneficial because that information is really important when you begin designing and doing different type of work.